How you guys doing?
Great.
Hey, how are you? Good. So when I talk to you guys, sometimes I just wing it, and I'm going to do that today. Hey, LD, how are you? Good to see you. People are asking for that book, you know.
Oh, well, they just got to hold their potato.
I'm promoting it. I'm promoting it. All right. So, so here's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you a little bit about how this model evolved into what it is, and it's going to be a little bit of repeat for some of you, but just hang tight because numbers over equals certainty. So,
Sure.
When I first started in practice, I graduated in '91. I worked as an associate. Hey, Grace. Worked as an associate for a year, opened my own practice in '92, and built it really quickly. So you guys work with chiropractors. A good chiropractic practice is one that does 200 visits a week, right? That's like 1 out of 5 chiropractors hit that. So in '94, I was doing 400 visits a week over by myself. So I hired an associate, then I hired another associate. By '96, we're doing 700 visits a week. That was a personality-driven business. You guys know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
Bad. Bad.
Who says good? Who says bad? Well, you're both right. Because if you start a business, you want to be successful, you have to start it as a personality-driven business. Because if you don't, you ain't going to make it. What percentages of businesses fail? You're laughing because you did this, right? What percentages of businesses fail of any type of business in the first 2 years? 80%. 80%, 8 out of 10 fail. It's the hardest thing to do is create a business because you're taking nothing and turning it into something. And then you got Sally Rush working for you saying, thank God I got my paycheck. And you're like, does she know what I had to do to create that thing? So it's a personality-driven business. And I was a personality-driven business. So you have to be a personality-driven business to get off the ground. But what's the problem with a personality-driven business? You can't leave. It becomes like an anchor around your neck. So if I went on vacation, the stats dropped. And then when I came back, the stats went back up. When I went on vacation, the stats dropped. So I started realizing I should take shorter vacations. Because the most expensive part of the vacation was the drop in the production, not that where I went, not the airplane flight and all that, right? Yeah. So how many of you are dealing with chiropractors in here? You get on the phone with them on a regular basis. This is what they're dealing with, right? Switching from a personality-driven business to a system-driven business is a hard thing to do initially, but what it does is it buys you freedom in the long run. You have to get other people to be empowered enough to do what you did successfully and then give them systems that they can follow so they can duplicate it successfully so that the outcome is what you're considering is the standard. See that? Mm-hmm. So when we did this, we had to look at a lot of things. So if you're dealing with chiropractors that are going through this, they're wrestling. I know exactly what they're wrestling with. They're wrestling with a whole lot of fixed ideas that they had from being a personality-driven chiropractic practice. And in this model, it's not a personality-driven chiropractic practice. So from day one, we're trying to get these guys to realize that they need to become an executive and delegate. Do you understand that? The worst way to delegate is delegation by abdication. What's that mean?
Leaving.
Okay, you guys take over, I'm leaving. Because the mess is when you come back, that guy's got to jump in and fire people and take over, and whose fault was it? That guy's, right? Because he didn't actually give them systems to do. So think about this. How many people in here ever blew a bubble with bubble gum? Raise your hand if you have. Hold them up, I want to see. Okay. So, were you successful?
Yes.
Was anybody not successful?
No.
Okay, good. You weren't? Okay, so all the people were successful. Why don't somebody volunteer to tell us how you blow a bubble successfully? Go ahead.
The first step is you have to figure out how to do it.
Okay. Well, tell me something I don't know.
That's before you do anything.
Okay.
Then you have to manipulate the thing with your tongue. You have to put it in the front, part of it behind your teeth, and open your teeth just enough so that some goes out, but not too much. You don't want to spit it out.
So you can see he thinks about this, right? But he's on the right track, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do that. You have to manipulate it. You have to kind of spread it with your tongue, put it between your lips and your teeth. But the first step is find somebody who's willing to blow a bubble. Second step is find some gum, right? So when you go back and look at systems, you go, crap, there's a lot to that. And there is a lot to it. It's not as easy as it looks. Then you got to go, and then you got to Because I thought about this too. It's a diaphragmatic blow. It's not like a blow. It's kind of with your cheeks, but it's also from here. Right? So, because if it blows too fast, it goes. And if you got a mustache, then you're like this for an hour. Right? So you got to get to go out slow and keep a steady pace so it gets bigger and bigger, and then when it pops, you catch it real quick so it doesn't get your mustache. Huh?
You can play the flute.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you have? Do you
That's
play
like
the
that.
flute?
One finger.
All right, give me a system for that. No. But you see what we're talking about when we're trying to get these guys to do things. And they're used to doing like, well, I can just do it better, so I'll just go in and do it myself. What kind of effect does that have on their staff? You crash, you go into danger, right? You also, what do you do to that employee? In their head.
Validate them.
You invalidate them.
Yeah.
What happens to their willingness to be self-determined? Goes, and then they start complaining, they start nattering, like, I can't do anything right. Right?
Yeah.
And this is what happens. You start to run a business like that, you'll trash the business really fast. So it's, how many of you in here are parents? How many of you ever trained or taught one of your children to drive a car? Okay, at some point you just have to go, okay, you're doing great. Right? Who's done that? Am I right? It's like you just got to go, okay, I'm not out of control of this. I'm just now a passenger.
Slow down,
Right?
slow down.
No.
This is the curve.
At some point, you got to just go, you're doing great. Right? That's what you got to do with employees. You just got to let them do it. You got to let them make mistakes. This is really hard for our clients to do. Really hard because they could just do it better. And they're just ready to jump right in. But in this model, they legally can't do it. It's a different license. You got a medical license here, you got a chiropractic license here. If they jump in and tell them how to do it, they just practice medicine without a license. And it's now not compliant. The stuff I'm talking to you about is the stuff that makes us unique as a company. Why did AMI hit the Inc. 5000 list last year? Or this year?
Because we're awesome.
Yeah.
But why? Let's break it down. How do you blow that bubble?
Systems.
Systems. Systems and our viewpoint, right? That's what makes us unique. So we're cognizant we can't violate the law. We have to keep that, we have to empower that person to make that decision. It's like, I got to let the nurse practitioner drive the car. Yeah, you're doing great, right? That's pretty much what it is. So how do you do that? So anyway, what went into this is we had to actually figure out, well, how do we teach them how to blow a bubble? That's where the disease timeline came from. Have you guys all seen that? Who has not seen that? Okay, so I don't have a board to draw it on, but sometime I'll draw it for you guys. It's just a viewpoint on how you look at disease. Most medical people look at disease as, okay, Doug has a complaint, I better give him something to stop that complaint. Then he'll be happy and I'll be happy I did my job. But that's not health, right? What health is I might have to tell him to do something he doesn't want to do, but he needs to do it if he wants his health, right? So our viewpoint is we don't look at symptoms, we look at function. So we have to teach this to the nurse practitioners because they are trained in school to think in terms of symptoms. Somebody has high blood pressure, you give them a drug to bring the blood pressure down. Somebody has high cholesterol, you give them a drug to bring the cholesterol down. Does bringing cholesterol down decrease heart attacks? Or does it increase heart attacks? It actually does increase. The side effect of that drug is increased heart attack.
Wow.
Most people don't know that. So you have to retrain them. So first of all, you have to make sure you get somebody who actually agrees with the philosophy, right? Agrees with, so the first thing we do when we hire the nurse practitioner before we even hire them is, okay, we do not want to do family practice. What's family practice?
When you're sick.
Whenever you're sick.
When you're sick or you have an ache or pain, and then you go to the doctor, and what do you say?
I feel bad.
Yeah, I feel bad, and I want you to
Fix it.
make me feel better,
Yeah.
right? So the level for the billing code for that is an E&M code. It means evaluation and management. It's not a procedural code. Procedurals are usually higher reimbursed. E&M code is just a thought process. So the doctor or nurse practitioner walks in, hears the story, does the thought process and says, I'll write you a script, right? And they only get paid, like from what I hear, somewhere between $40 and $70 for the visit. So you imagine running a big medical practice, how many visits would you have to see to make a living? 40 to 50 each clinician. 40 to 50 exams a day, and you have to cure them on the spot. So they race through it, right? And they hate it. So we look at that and we go, these clinicians are burning out, and they're dropping out of healthcare in droves. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
So medical doctors, that's estimated 10,000 a year drop out of their career in the middle of their career. In 2014, the Wall Street Journal ran an article and they asked 12,000 family practitioners, do you like your job? Would you do it again? Would you recommend it for your kids? And 94% said absolutely not. They said stuff like, my kids can go to any school they want except for medical school. This is a disaster. So my mother had her 90th birthday in October in New Jersey. So Colleen and I flew up there. And friends of ours called us up and said, hey, you're in New Jersey, come meet us for breakfast. So we went to this place, it's called Smitty's. It's like a restaurant this big, right? and you're like this going into the tables. And when we go to sit down, our friend Cindy goes, oh, Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is here. Dr. Smith, this is Dr. Carberry. Dr. Smith just retired. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he goes, I didn't retire, I just got tired of the crap. And my radar went off. So we sat down and I looked over and said, what are you doing now, Doc? Driving Uber. So I'm going, rekindle purpose, we can do that. So we do that. So when we do the trainings that we do, that you see Dave doing, that's one where I really do it, and also with the sales training, but mostly with Dave's training, we're rekindling their purpose. And we're saying, listen, we're not going to do family practice. We're not going to prescribe antidepressants. We're not going to prescribe heart medication. We're not going to prescribe opioids. We're not going to prescribe cholesterol medication. We're not going to prescribe antibiotics. So the next question they have is, so what are we going to do? So we tell them, these clinics are designed to address the number one health complaint that human beings have, which is,
Pain, back and forth.
number one reason to be in a hospital is to be born, number two is back pain, right? So if you look at chronic degenerative arthritis, which is more than back pain, right? That's the biggest segment in healthcare. 90+% of the population will suffer with that. So how do they deal with it? What's the leading cause of death of Americans under the age of 50? Opioids. What's the number one prescription that gets them on an opioid? Back pain.
Wow.
So these clinics are designed to stop that. So we have to get these chiropractors to stop thinking in terms of, I'll just go fix it, and get somebody on the team that says, that revitalized my purpose. You start talking to a nurse practitioner, an MD, in the interview about what I just said, you want them going like this. Really? Really? Oh, well, that sounds wonderful. I mean, I can do this. You see that and you go, I'm reviving this person's purpose so I can channel that. Would you be willing to get trained on how to do injections? What kind of injections? Steroids? No. We do injections of stem cells. We do injections of lidocaine, procaine, just like John F. Kennedy got. Janet Travell's work, and the MD goes, yeah, I've heard of her, right? We're going to do that. Would you like to get trained? Yes. Now you got somebody who's willing, so you got to find somebody willing to blow a bubble, and then you got to get the bubble. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So we have to get the chiropractor to be willing to become an executive. I'm not going to run in and fix it myself. So one of the things that was a problem for me is I was a good adjuster. I'm not so good now because I've been away from it for a while, and I do have a lot of arthritis in my wrist from pounding away on people. But I have got some stem cells there. But when I used to be in my clinic, everybody wanted me to adjust them. Why? Because I was a better adjuster? No, because I communicated better. Dave Morris, how many of you know who he is? That guy's a great adjuster. Now he's a great communicator as well. Yeah. But I'm like, that guy's way better than me. And they're like, oh no, we like your adjustment better. He's a great adjuster, and now he's a great communicator, and he bought one of my practices. But the thing is, the chiropractors are like, I'll just go adjust them, I'm better at it, right? And that's the detriment to this whole program. They have to be thinking in terms of, I got to get somebody else to do it. So putting a chiropractor in there has a huge impact on the practice because it frees up the executive. But the problem with a chiropractic executive is, a chiropractor associate, chiropractors don't think the same as medical people. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When you go to medical school, anybody here ever go to medical school? Anybody ever try to get in? Is it easy or hard, do you think? Hard. Do you think you have good grades or bad grades? Good. So do you think you're more academic if you make it? Yeah. So medical people tend to be very academic, very smart people. That doesn't mean they're entrepreneurial. What's entrepreneurial mean?
Businessman.
Willing to start an idea or a business, right? Chiropractors, huh?
Risk taker.
A risk taker, right? Because you're going to create something from nothing.
Yeah.
Chiropractors tend to be entrepreneurial, right? So you get these two together, you hire a medical person, they're not likely to go, I'm going to start my own practice, and I'll set up down the street, and I could take the front desk girl, and I could take this person, and I'll start secretly telling the patients, but the chiropractors do that. Do you understand that? So a lot of them are afraid to hire an associate because they're afraid they're going to steal the business. Well, in this model, they can't steal the business because it's outside their scope. And you hire a medical person who says, I don't want to run a practice, you run the practice, I'll do the clinical stuff. That's what you want. So my nurse practitioner has been with me for 8 years. I've never had an associate stay with me for 8 years, right? Because they start their own. I used to tell them, I'm kicking you out in 2 years. Because at first when I'd hire them, they'd go like this. Okay, so yeah, I'm applying for this job. And I'd say, what are you thinking down the road? Well, I want to own my own practice. Unless I meet the right guy who's got a great idea that I could work with for long term and blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, shut up. And then I'd say, I'm going to fire you in 2 years. Why? Because I won't be able to afford to pay you because you'll know too much. You should start your own practice. I'll even help you. And then what would happen is instead of in 6 months them sneaking out with the employees, in 2 years they'd be saying, can I stay a little bit longer? Right? Different flow. So what we do now is the chiropractor doesn't have the role of a manager in my practice. They treat. How do they treat? They do chiropractic. I've actually seen in my practice where we had a chiropractor in there and he left involuntarily. We didn't tell it to the patient. And we had another chiropractor in there because the way I do things is if I get rid of a chiropractor, I already got another one lined up, right? So we had the other chiropractor and the patient walks up and goes, now in a chiropractic practice, where's Dr. Smith? Well, Dr. Smith's no longer here. Well, where did he go? Okay, how far is that? Do you have his number? In this model, they go, where's Dr. Smith? Dr. Smith is no longer here. Here's Dr. Jones. Oh, okay, lay down, boom. Because they're not there for the personality anymore. They're there for the adjustment. But they're not there just for the adjustment. They're there for the medical team to treat them. Do you understand that? Yeah. So we've taken it out of a personality-driven thing into a system-driven thing, and the system is based upon a team. And the team collaborates. What does that mean?
They work together.
They work together, which makes them integrated, not multidiscipline. So every other consulting company out there teaches a multidiscipline model. We teach an integrated model. Do you understand that? Yeah. How many of you got trained on the team meeting? I know you did.
Well, for your video.
Okay, so basically where the team meeting came from is Colleen was a head injury therapist. She used to wake people up out of a coma. She was on a team. It was a PT, an OT, a cognitive therapist, a speech therapist, and a physiatrist. What's a physiatrist?
Physical medicine.
A medical doctor who does physical medicine. So that's who was in charge of it. So they would have a team meeting several times a week so they could all get on the same page. And the physiatrist wanted each one of those people to examine the patient, who a lot of times was in a coma, and then come back with their ideas of what should be done. The physiatrist had a nurse sitting there writing the orders and would say, put that down. Okay, that's a great idea. We're going to hold off on that one. We'll look at that next week. Oh, that's a good idea. Write that down. We'll start that on Tuesday. And they were writing their orders, and it made them very compliant. That's where our team meeting model came from. Almost every other integrated company out there, which is really multidiscipline, claims they have a team meeting concept. And where did they get that idea? When I first became integrated in 1996, we thought, this is a great thing. This is good for everybody. And people would call me up and say, can I come to your practice and look? Sure. What do you charge? Nothing. So we had a parade of people coming through. So they all got that idea from that. What we don't do in the team meetings, we don't talk about insurance coverage, but a lot of other companies do. We talk about what the patient needs. Do you understand that? Okay, so this is how this model came about. It's an integrated model. It's a system-driven model. So we have systems for everything. We have systems on how to greet a patient. We have systems on how to move a patient through the office. When you're a chiropractor, how many people in here are chiropractors? Just a couple, okay. All right, so when you're a chiropractic office, what services do you have?
You adjust, you can do physiotherapy.
Right, which is like e-stim, hot packs, cold packs.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah. Nutrition.
X-rays.
X-ray. Exam. After that, then what? So in a medical practice, you can do tons of things. You can do allergy treatment. You can do, a ton of things. Injections, bracing, more injections. There's just so many codes that it can be overwhelming. So when people come in for procedures, we figure out ahead of time, this is what we're going to do with this patient, and this is when we're going to do it. On Monday, we're going to do this. On Tuesday, or Wednesday, we're going to do this. On Friday, we're going to do this. And next week, we're going to do it, and we're going to do that for like 5 weeks, and we write it all out. So when you start getting all these different services and different providers and people getting different things, you can have people walk out the door and not get a service. And that could be expensive. Like one time we added up, it was $15,000 a week walking out the door of something that should have been done that wasn't done. So we created a position called the traffic cop. And the traffic cop's job is, when somebody comes in, we teach them how to get their chart, how to get their note, fill it out, how to start, and they have to check in with the traffic cop to leave. And then we have a flagging system. We have meetings in the morning that are not team meeting, where we talk about these are the services this person is going to get today. And there's flags in there. And the traffic cop opens it up and goes, oh, okay, come with me, you got one more thing to do. And routes them to the place that they go to get the service. And this started saving us tons and tons of money. But that's a system. So what happens is, if you go into a chiropractic office, if they're really busy, the chiropractor comes out of the room, comes out, goes to the front desk person, who's that over there? What's she waiting for? What's he waiting for? Who's that guy over there? Who's this? Waste of time, waste of time, waste of time, waste of time, waste of time. So in our model, even the owner comes out, if he's still treating, and he goes, where do you want me? Go to room 3, here's your chart, boom, okay, the traffic cop is in charge. Our rule is, you can't violate the traffic cop unless there's a medical emergency. Otherwise, that's the air traffic control. The pilot's flying a plane, but he's not allowed to land unless air traffic control says it's okay. Systems. Is this helpful to know this stuff?
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff we're teaching. Where's the other coaches? Okay, well, they're all over the state now, right? They're all over the country? Okay, so this is what you have to deal with a lot, but everybody is kind of dealing with that. So when we're talking about this, whether you're on a, getting a new prospect in, if you're talking to try to get them on the phone with a reg, you might be running into some of these barriers because they're thinking with these fixed ideas. Oh, I could never do that. I could never manage 15 people. They're thinking that because how could I manage 15 people and do everything? That's exactly how they're thinking. Well, you manage 15 people by not doing everything. You get the 15 people to do everything. Do you understand that? So realize as you're encountering these barriers, don't try to bust through it with them. Just say, well, there's systems for all that. And they have systems, and Mike was like that, and he was a personality-driven business, and he was able to change it over. And that's what we help you do. We help you to change over your business from a personality-driven to a system-driven business so you can expand. If you don't do that, you'll never scale the business. What's scale the business mean? Did Jeff Bezos, did he scale his business?
Sure did.
What did he start off doing?
Selling books.
Selling books. So
Garage.
I'll bet you he was packing books in a box in his garage. Right? Do you think he packs any of the boxes now? No. He doesn't. He doesn't. So that's how he scaled his business. He just used systems to put the systems in to get other people to do the work, and now look, he's selling everything everywhere.